So could I ask you to type in those two equations? Another equation I gave you, the one we took a picture of. Can you put the left side into y1 and the right side into y2? I'm just trying to save some time. Thank you. Okay, here it is, guys. So for the domain and range, and this is now contextual, so there are word problems surrounding it. You always have to think of, right, what's my lowest x value? So you look at the curve, what's my lowest and what's my highest? And this one has a start and an end, right? Start and end. So you go from 0 all the way to 10. It's closed both ways. So I know some of you got this, but still I would still pay attention just to make sure. For the range, the lowest we get to the lowest point twice, correct? Doesn't matter, it's still 0. And then we stop at the highest point, which is 12. So for the range, you go as low as 0 and as high as 12. So it'll be 0 to 12. This one is closed in for both domain and range. So how would we translate this? I would use t in this case to 10, so you need to be comfortable with both. So it's kind of closed in. For this, it would be 0, and I'm going to use h here all the way to 12. So that's how you would do that one. So I think you should be prepared to write it in both ways. Thank you. So let's do this one. This one was a little challenging, right? Still, I would say for the domain, the lowest domain is -4, okay? The lowest x value, and then it just keeps going. This one doesn't stop. This one just keeps going indefinitely. So you go from -4 to positive infinity, right? So for my domain, I will go -4, that's the smallest value, to infinity. Round bracket, square bracket, okay? And oftentimes I would suggest do the interval notation first, then do set notation if that's what I'm asking for. For the range, what's the lowest I can get to? There is no lowest, right? This just keeps on going. So the highest here is given to me by the vertex, and this just keeps on going indefinitely to -infinity. So you go from 200 to -infinity. However, if you write it like this, that's going to be wrong. Okay. What's wrong with that? You need to have the smallest first. So this is like that. So it's kind of counterintuitive because we're like, no, it's 200 to -infinity, but we do put the smallest first and then the largest second. How do you write this in interval notation? When you have infinities, you just look, okay, you're going to focus on that number, -4. And then you have to ask yourself, is it going to positive infinity or negative infinity? It's going to positive infinity, right? So d has to be greater than or equal to -4. That's all. Okay? You don't have to have an infinity on this end or a 0, nothing like that. That's all you do. D is greater than because this graph is going towards the right side. For this, for h, in this case, it's going down from where I'm the maximum point here. So you go less than or equal to 200. Okay, that's how you would answer that question in set notation. So if there's an arrowhead, okay, watch out, right? Then it turns into almost a non-contextual scenario, right? Except for if this, what would happen if, let's do this real quick here. What if I had arrowhead here, arrowhead there? What would my domain be? -infinity to positive infinity. X is part of all real numbers, correct? X, that's what the domain would be if it's not closed on this side, right? So keep that in mind. This one, domain 0 to 200. I think I'm going to skip the set notation because it's the same as the first one. And in terms of range, we get down to 0 all the way to 25,000. So this is a very classic domain and range, right? It's not too difficult to do this one. You go from 0 to 200, 0 to 25,000. So there we go. And then our last one here. Someone, I heard a few of you say, hey, in your notes, it stops at the x-intercept, right? Like that's the largest x value for your domain. But it does say most of the time in your notes, right? I made you write that down. you always want to go, what's the lowest x value? In this case, it's 2, stops right there. And then the largest, because the graph stops there, is 14.5. So this is your domain for that case. For range, the lowest I ever get to is -10. And the highest I ever get to is, at this point, you just have to grab the right number. We're talking y values, so it's 4. Okay? Like that. And in terms of rewriting it, I mean, it's the same. Sorry, not -2. 2. And I know that in intro, I don't think they made you put down these squiggly brackets, right? Did your teachers make you put down the squiggly brackets? Okay, so they're listening to us applied teachers, because in grade 12 applied, that you lose marks if you don't have that. Okay? Like this, and it goes from -10, and this is h, and this is 4. Okay, squiggly brackets. All right, and then let's solve that equation that I gave you. So I'll make copies of that. If I don't, please remind me. I want to make copies of these for you to try one more time. When it's by graphing, any graphing method, my go-to tends to be just plug. This is how you show your work. Okay, you just say, hey, I'm going to do this, put this in y1, this in y2, and I'm going to just find intersections. Second trace, intersect. That's all you do. And Axel, you already did this for me. I'm just going to double check. Looks good. I'm going to graph it. And it's not a very good graph. Okay, it's not a very good graph. I think, did you try Zoom Fit? I'm going to use Zoom Standard first. I see one is going up, one is going down. Let's do some, does that make sense? Did I type this in right? Just think of it this way. That's a quadratic, correct? A is right in front here. A is always in front. It's positive, right? So I expect this one to be pointing up. This one, A is -2. I expect this to be pointing down. So that actually does make sense. I'm just going to change my window values real quick. My Y max, I'm going to go to 50. You see, as soon as you see them crossing here, you're good to go. You don't care about the rest necessarily. The other crossing happens here, so I'm just going to change my window to the Y min to, I don't know, -30. Oh, should have gone -50. So just chase the curve, right? Just chase the curve. There it is. It's once there and once there. So second trace 5. I don't know where my cursor is. There it is. Enter, enter, enter. So the first one is -1.47. 0. I just ignore the y value, okay? When you do it this way, you gotta make sure that is 0, okay? Second trace 5, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the lesson. Yeah. There it is. Enter, 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 and the second one is 7.170. Okay, that's all you need to do. You could use the quadratic formula, but I think the problem is there, if these are very complicated and you make a small little mistake, it's going to affect your final answers, right? So it's not like it's doing it the wrong way, but normally, I'll just tell you straight up, this is what it is. When I want you to use the graphing method, these tend to be messy. If you were to FOIL them out, they tend to be messy. So it's almost like forcing you to a certain degree to want to use the graphing method. That's usually how you can recognize it.